I am your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and this is our daily Bible study. Today we're going to continue on with our study of understanding fear. This is the 8th series in a continual series of daily Bible studies, and this is the 3rd part for the terms of fear. It is our 4th installation in the Understanding Fear series. So let's dive right into it. Remember, this is a definitive study wherein we take terms out of the scripture that are designated into a comprehensive, systemic understanding of a word that is, of course, an English word, but there are those many different terminologies that are interpreted as fear. And so we want to move on. Our next term we're going to deal with is the word dekal. Dekal. The term dekal is a Chaldaic or a Chaldean word, and it means to sink. That is, by implication, to fear or causatively be formidable and to make one afraid. And so we can deal with dreadful fear or something that is terrible that incites fear. Let's move on. And so it's dealing then with, to a degree, feeling threatened. So dekal, to fear, to have a terrible sense of awe because something is standing before you and looming. And so it's also dealing with that which makes one afraid. When we investigate those things that make us afraid, we have to understand why we perceive things to be dangerous. When we look at something and they're awful to us and we consider them to be dangerous or life-threatening, in a sense, we have more faith in the capacity of that thing to harm us. And maybe it's a natural understanding of the viciousness of something, or the natural understanding of the dangerous propriety that someone uses. And so fear then of this type is because we perceive something to be powerful enough, deadly enough, or dangerous enough to cause us great harm. And so it's something that violates faith because of the natural state and propensity and the natural knowledge we have of this thing to be able to inflict harm or even death. When we go to the ancient Hebrew calls this term fear, and it deals with specifically from a past participle, the peal, and it deals with the serpent or a worm. And so it's fear and dread, terrible, and that which causes one to be terribly afraid. And typically when we talk about the serpent, there is just an innate fear of the serpent because of the past programming and the knowledge that we know that a serpent is capable of inflicting death through its bite. If we were to go a little further, it's a verb meaning to fear or to slink, to go down to the ground and to crawl. And this is one of the ways that it also is, again, connected to that of a snake. In many cases, a snake, if it is not poisonous, and even if it is, it slinks and it stays low to the ground to move through the weeds. And so it gives us several inclinations and several understanding that, number one, slinking like a snake to escape, or the fear of a snake because of the possible damage that it can do. And so it comes from an Aramaic term, and it corresponds to the Hebrew word zahal. And this ideal is one of slinking or crawling, such as a serpent or a worm, to back away or to tremble in fear. People trembled before the greatness which God gave to Nebuchadnezzar. And so this type of fear reduces one to one who is now pressed down, who cowers to get away because of the awesome sight. Again, This type of fear is incited because of our senses. It's incited because of what we see and the patternization of what we know something to be from its past. Let's move on to another term in the Hebrew language, and we hope to be able to cover this. This is a term, when we look at it, it is literally the word hul. Some pronounce it cool, and that's C-H-U, some W-L, some just C-H-U-L. And when we look at this term, and I like to look to the Strong's first, he interprets it as cool. And so it's a primitive root that deals with to twist and to whirl in a circular or a spiral manner. It is that which specifically to dance, to writhe in pain, especially of parturition or fear, to wait, to pervert, to bear, to make, to bring down. And so when we discuss this terminology for fear, it deals with to bore a hole or to have pain. A hole is drilled with a tool called a bow or a drill. The string of the bow is wrapped around the drill by moving the bow back and forth and firmly pressing down. And so this deals with a boring that causes significant pain. And because the pain is significant, it causes an individual to withdraw or to back up. And so it is connection. Its connection is to be connected to a perforation that has many different holes in it. And so it deals with fear of affliction or fear of pain, possibly. When we go a little further, it deals with to twist, to whirl, dance, or writhe in fear, to tremble, travail, be in anguish, or to be pained. And again, it talks about having pain being inflicted upon us and having a mindset of the fullness of the pain that keeps us from wanting to experience more. And so we're trying to get away. We're whirling in agony and writhing in affliction to the point where our minds are telling us to do whatever is necessary to get away. And so here in the word study text, it means to writhe in pain. And the first of these ideals may be seen in the shaking of the earth, the stirring of waters, or the trembling of mountains. And so it's pain, that causes a trembling. It is pain that is so awesome or so terrible that the body begins to get agitated because of the sensing of what is to come, or the sensing of some harm, pain, and affliction that causes you to dread to experience anything else. And so this type of fear is the fear of pain becoming greater, the fear that causes a shaking, almost a type of fear that causes physical shock, physical sensory mechanisms that make the body move irregularly, that cause the body to be racked with such agony, it's as if it's dancing to get away. And so it is a form of trembling, a form of physical pain and fear that can cause trembling, shaking, and quaking as a mountain. I am sorry we are out of time. I am your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves. I thank you for joining us in the 8th series of our daily Bible study entitled Understanding Fear. Until next time, God bless and keep you.